Hello and welcome to our show. It's our pleasure to have you join us for this weekend lineup of fascinating features inside Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Sit back and relax as we take the JIS Heritage School Tour and learn about the fats in our foods. Stick around for these and a lot more after this important message.
We tend in Jamaica to get caught in debates that don't pay enough attention to the facts of the situation, to the realities of the situation. Technology changes everything. And as we progress and as we develop technology, it is the nations that develop technology, but more importantly, the nations that own technology, that own the future. For me, this is a big thing, to stand on the grounds of a former sugar plantation and say, we are going to build a technology school to produce the people of Jamaica who will not just be consumers of technology, but will become producers of technology, because that is the true liberation of our people.
Jamaica has a rich heritage, and as part of efforts to spread this cultural awareness and pride among the youth, the JIS conducts its annual Heritage School Tour. This year, the focus was on Jamaica's greatest accomplishment since independence. Here are the highlights of this event.
Jamaica's greatest accomplishment since independence. That's the theme for this year's staging of the annual JIS Heritage School Tour. And of course, we captured all the action to share with you on this episode of Western Roundup. So stick around. Some 12 schools across St. Anne, Trelawney, Hanover, and Clarendon welcomed the JIS team in October as the agency embarked on this year's staging of the annual JIS Heritage School Tour. The week-long activity brought the team to the St. Anne's Bay, Servite, and Brownstown primary schools, as well as the Yorkcastle High School in St. Anne, Jacob's Well Infant, Saltmarsh Primary and Holland High Schools in Trelawney, the Bethel, Esher, and Sandy Bay primary schools in Hanover, Montego Bay Christian Academy in St. James, and in the south, Racecourse and the Alley primary schools in Clarendon. The tour was used to spread cultural awareness and pride among the youth, and we bring you the highlights.
Look at me. Do you know what this is?
A Jamaica
flag. So what color is this one?
Green.
Green. And what color is this
Black.
one? Black. What color
Black.
is this one?
Gold.
It's a special type of yellow that we call gold. And today we are going to color the Jamaican flag. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to touch the floor. Never touch the floor. And it was raised for the first time on Independence Day. That was on August 6, 1962.
The JIS team was treated to some of the best cultural pieces the schools had to offer, including songs, drama, dances, and poems.
What wrong with Mary dry foot boy? Them girl got him for Mac. And when me meet him Tarana, the boy give me a shock. Me tell him say him auntie and him uncle say howdy. And ask him how things getting on. Him say, oh Jolie. Me start feel so sorry for the poor bad lucky soul. Him come a foreign land, come catch bad foreign cold. Me think him have a bad sore throat. But as him chat go on, me find out say, is a foreign twang the boy was a put on.
Now look at twang by Louise Bennett. Me glad to see you come back, boy. But lad, you let me down. Me shame I used to till. All of me proudness drop a ground. You mean I go to America and spend 6 whole months there and come back not a piece better than how you did go, eh? Boy, you not shame. It's there come and say your tongue so long. Not even little language, boy. Not even little twang. And your sister, what work on go 1 week with American. She talks so nice now that you have to deduce to understand.
The students and teachers were also given information on the Jazz Heritage Essay Competition, which closed on November 6th.
Now, every year, the Jamaica Information Service puts on a competition, and we invite students who are 9 and 10, 11 and 12 to enter our essay competition. Now, we also have a poster competition, but that's for high schoolers. We have a photo competition, that's for the college students. But for you, we invite you to write an essay about Jamaican heritage. So the topic is, explain what you think is Jamaica's greatest accomplishment since independence.
The essay competition will be judged on relevance to the topic, originality, accuracy and analysis of research data, writing style and language skills. Secondary level students were required to use graphics or illustrations to design a poster depicting the topic, Jamaica's greatest achievement over the past 60 years, while tertiary students were asked to submit a photographic interpretation on the same topic. The top performing students will be shortlisted and invited to attend an award ceremony in December, where the winners of the competitions will be announced. For further details, persons can contact the JIS at 876-926-35924 or by email at heritagephoto@gis.gov.jm, heritageposter@gis.gov.jm, or heritageessay@gis.gov.jm, as well as by visiting the website at www.gis.gov.jm. And that's all for the program today. As usual, thanks for joining us on this episode of Western Roundup, where we take you from the corners of St. Elizabeth to the hilly terrains of St. Anne. Remember to send us your feedback to jismobay@gis.gov.jm. Until next time, take care.
We're talking about contactless clearing, cargo, importing, and making it work for everyone.
So no longer do we have to wait 2 days, 3 days, 4 days for you to turn up. We do the inspection, and then your agent will call you and say, Mr. Henry, you can come and collect your goods. And that's all you're doing. The goods is inspected based on the declaration that you would have made.
Have an illegal gun or know someone who does? The gun amnesty program begins November 5 to 19. Surrender the guns to the nearest police station, the FLA, or a lawyer. Your identity will be protected.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Your health impacts how much you can achieve and therefore must be protected. And what's in your food matters. Up next, we learn about good and bad fats, as well as efforts by the government to eliminate the bad ones from our foods.
The human brain is 60% fat. Fats provide a storehouse of energy for the body and promote normal cell growth and healthy skin. Fat also acts like a cushion and heat regulator to protect the heart, liver, and other vital organs. And as most people would know, fat adds flavor to our food and helps us feel full longer. It is clear that having fat in our diet is beneficial in many ways, but too much or the wrong kind can be equally harmful. Fat is a source of essential fatty acids which help the body absorb vitamins A, D, and E. There are 3 types. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids are both considered good fats. The third, saturated fatty acid, is what we are often encouraged to avoid or lower our intake. So too, trans fat, which is created by a process called hydrogenation that makes the fat harder at room temperature to increase the shelf life.
What is in our foods impact on the quality of our lives?
The World Health Organization recommends that trans fat intake be limited to less than 1% of total energy intake, which translates to less than 2.2 grams per day with a 2,000 calorie diet.
Studies have shown that saturated fat increases the amount of bad cholesterol or LDL in the blood and has no effect on the good cholesterol, HDL. Trans fatty acids increase the amount of bad cholesterol in the blood and also reduce the amount of good cholesterol. Diets high in these bad fats are linked to obesity, heart disease, and other cardiovascular-related problems. Trans fat also causes malformation of cell membranes and other cell structures in the body, leading to weak cell walls and abnormal cell function. They are not recognized by enzymes and can cause neural degeneration and diminished brain function. So why then is trans fat used? Well, taste and economics. Trans fat makes food stay fresh on the shelf longer and improves food texture and flavor stability. Based on a 2021 assessment of the fatty acids in commonly consumed foods in Jamaica, our intake is very high.
If you look at confectionery, you see how high the percentage is there, and it comes down in several of the other food products. Okay, this is just the percentage that have trans fat. Notice that the canned foods had none at all, or the beverages that we looked at had no trans fat. Okay? But this is just saying whether there was trans fat in the product. What we are even more interested in is which products had high levels of trans fat. In terms of the highest concentrations, more than 2% of fat as trans fat, we see the dairy products, and it goes down like that. And then when we now look at those that had the same products that had high saturated fat along with the trans fat, we see the figures here.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is looking to change this and encourage better food production and consumption practices.
Healthier alternatives can be used that do not affect the taste or the cost of food.
Knowing what is in our food is part of the way forward. It is a lifestyle change to come through education, product reformulation, regulation, food labeling, and monitoring.
The elimination of industrially produced trans fats is part of a comprehensive policy package to prevent diet-related NCDs, which comprises mandatory food labeling, ingredients lists, nutrition panels declaring trans fats, interpretive front of package labeling based on nutrient profiles, restrictions on food marketing aimed at children and adolescents, mandatory standards for healthy food served in schools, and limits on sugar content.
It's not just about our resolve to do the right thing to consume what is in our best interest. That in and of itself is a challenge, because we have to now nudge, encourage, motivate, and in some instances legislate, I believe, certain types of actions to encourage better quality of life from a nutrition consumption standpoint. I think it is essential to advocating in the first instance for voluntary compliance as an immediate response.
As consumers, we have the choice of using naturally occurring unhydrogenated vegetable oils such as canola, safflower, sunflower, or olive oil. We can also limit red meat and choose lean cuts. It is also recommended that we steam, boil, or bake foods instead of cooking them in fats or oils. Another approach is to choose low-fat dairy products, poultry, and fish, and purchase processed foods made with unhydrogenated oils rather than partially or hydrogenated vegetable oils or saturated fats. Use soft margarines as a substitute for butter and choose soft margarine over the harder stick forms. Limit consumption of commercially fried foods and baked goods made with shortening or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. Not only are these high in fat, but it is also likely to be trans fat. And cut back on foods high in dietary cholesterol. Let's eat healthy and live well.
Educators, listen up. Do you need help learning how to save, budget, manage your debt, investing? Does it feel like the little you have can go so far and no more? The Ministry of Education and Youth is partnering with Profit Jumpstarter, a boutique investment education organization, and the Jamaica Teaching Council to guide you or educators on a course towards financial literacy. Look out for a series of workshops in the coming months to help you get on the path to financial freedom, because understanding money is essential for growing it. Each one teaches one, right? Let us continue to make Jamaica the preferred place to live, work, raise families, and do business.
We are near the end of our journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine, but before that, we continue the health journey and examine treatment and care options for children with spasticity.
A mother or father's wish for his or her child. That he or she is happy, healthy, able, and will achieve his or her full potential. Even in the face of disabilities, these aspirations are affirmed with extra care and the outpouring of love in support of children with special needs. And the children themselves, some not able to freely move due to a condition known as spasticity, have strong faith in their abilities. Spasticity, or muscle toning, is a type of muscle stiffness seen in children with neurological conditions such as cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy is a name that describes a group of conditions where there's injury to the brain, the developing brain, that occurs during pregnancy, in utero, at the time of delivery, or up until 3 years old. And it affects a part of the brain that controls movement, the motor section.
With the varying degrees of cerebral palsy, some children may have issues with comprehension or understanding. Others have seizures and problems talking, swallowing, hearing, or seeing. Despite the struggles, the possibilities are bright for children living in Jamaica with this and other conditions that affect the ability to walk. Medical interventions are now allowing some disabled children to walk for the first time, and for others to walk better, ultimately having an improved quality of life.
I think what we have brought is a comprehensive approach to addressing the problem, where all the medical professionals, including nurses, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, the surgeons, the rehabilitation and specialists and physiatrists, and the neurosurgeons and neurologists have come together, working with the hospital, working with the pharmacists to try and solve the problems of each child individually. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So for example, in my specialties, some of them may need a surgical procedure on the lower back, which we call a dorsal rhizotomy, where we will resect some of the nerve or divide some of the nerves to allow them to move the legs more freely.
Other options for treatment include injecting the muscles or around the nerves with medication that decrease muscle tone or muscle stiffness. These medications include phenol or botulinum toxin type A, Botox. Specialist teams at the Bustamante Hospital for Children and the University Hospital of the West Indies, along with partners from overseas, have been pioneering treatments for these children.
The children are assessed. They're assessed by the physiatrist, they're assessed by the physiotherapist, and a diagnosis is made, and then a particular treatment is prescribed that's tailor-made for that child's disability.
Assistive aids such as braces, walkers, and other orthotic devices provide important support to children dealing with spasticity and the pain or discomfort it causes.
It's important for children with movement problems to be positioned properly. Without good positioning, the stiffness can pull the joints out of alignment. And so when they're very early, we put them in what we call braces or orthotics. And these orthotics will maintain a proper alignment of the joint, preventing the ankles from being deformed, preventing the fingers from being deformed.
The braces help with standing, balance, and overall mobility.
If you start from toe upwards, you have what we call ankle-foot orthosis. AFO is the quick acronym. You have orthosis or braces that includes the knee, ankle-foot orthosis that allows for stability. You have some that we use at the hip to keep the hip apart. We use some at the elbows as well, or the wrists, so wrist orthosis. Some patients may require spine orthosis. Those are not usually used in the neuromuscular children, meaning the children with cerebral palsy and weakness. And if they are able to stand and balance, they get walkers to ambulate or wheelchairs so the parents and caregivers can carry them around comfortably.
There are several risk factors for cerebral palsy.
The risk factors include poor antenatal care. It also includes children that are born very young, premature delivery, less than 28 weeks, because the brain is very delicate, and any changes in oxygenation can affect the brain. Low birth weight as well when children are born very low. Different types of infections can cause it.
And even after delivery, there's the risk from head injury and infections such as meningitis and jaundice, among other things. Doctors say the risk of developing cerebral palsy can be minimized.
Parents need to know that you must have proper antenatal care, proper enough to take the pregnancy to full term, to 40 weeks, so the child's brain and body and blood vessels can develop properly. In addition to that, good health care condition for the mother, and delivery, safe delivery is always important, and postnatally, meaning after they're delivered, is to ensure that the children are healthy, they get their vaccinations, they're not exposed to any infection, there's no trauma to the brain, environment is safe, so you don't have exposure to chemicals that can also cause it, or to accidents or near drowning and stuff like that.
Children's exposure to toxic chemicals such as paints with lead in them, herbicides, pesticides, or household chemicals with pungent odors, either ingested or inhaled, can cause brain damage and must be avoided. Our best option for good health is always prevention, but that aside, effective curative measures offer hope and great joy.
We do have children walking who weren't able to walk before. We do have children sitting who couldn't sit before. I had a patient once where the legs were crossed, scissored we call it, where the legs were scissored at the hips, and the mother wasn't able to clean her properly or carry her. So when she used to carry her in the front. So we injected between the legs, and she came back. She was very happy. I'm like, why are you so happy? She's like, me can lap her now. I said, what do you mean by that? Because we injected between the legs, she could open the legs, so she could now carry her on the side, one foot in the front, one in the back, and a bag.
We hear of another story from Aunt Avia, who cares for her nephew Emilio.
His name is Emilio Morris. He's 12 years old. At one point, his foot was like turning like this. So now the car seat at the Bustamante, it said come back around straight. So now he's wearing a braces. At one point he used to creep, but now he doesn't creep. At one point his knee was very tight. but now it's not so tight. Things kind of better now, being that him get the injection. He used to get fizzy. They want him to stand up in the brace.
Kenil Baker is 13 years old. He was born with cerebral palsy, low motor skills. Basically, he cannot walk without assistance.
We have been coming to this clinic for some time now, where he has gotten injections and has done a surgery, which has helped him tremendously. He could not lay on his stomach. After the surgery, he was able to lay on his stomach and turn over, roll over. He is able to stretch out his hands and legs. And for bathing him, it has been made much easier for caring for him. He could not feed himself. He's trying to feed himself now. Well, you can leave him with food and he will feed himself. He's a very happy child. And we have good support from family and friends. And thank God we do. He's our joy. He's our joy.
To deal with crime and violence, we must be united. Please cooperate with the security forces. Call 311-119 or the JDF tip line. If you know something and you not talk, you're a part of the problem.
And this is where we end today's journey inside Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another show. Until then, there is more to watch by visiting our website at jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Until next time, do take care and walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.